Hey, folks, happy Friday, and welcome to another episode of Plan A Conversations. Hope your week is going really well. It's been a really interesting week for us. As you all know, I kicked off with my good buddy Mike Simone with Human Fit Project, our new four-part series on mental fitness. And so, if you are following me at Plan A with Clay, you get to get a sneak peek of what this week's actually on Sunday new programming will be. And also be sure to follow at Human Fit Project as well. We are helping you not only get a robust, transformative experience with your fitness, but we're also supporting you with the mental blocks that may impede your success towards your fitness and also your general life as a whole. And so, listen, for today's conversation, I am so excited to welcome now a friend but also my favorite and go-to massage therapist, Chinton Chin. What is it? I keep bustering your name.
It's okay. I'm so used to that. My full name is Clinton Chinyelu Ingram, but I've always
Yes.
gone by Chinyelu, which is my middle name. It's an African name. It's Nigerian. It's Igbo, and it means God sent. And then most people know me by the shorter version of that, which is Chin.
Okay. I want to honor your name and say it because I've had the same difficulty with my full name, Clinton Chinyelu
That's
Ingram.
correct.
I want to welcome him to the show. Before I actually do the welcome, I have to let you know the setup of all this. Years ago, and I can't believe it's been over a decade, one of my really good friends and one of client Chin's actual mutual client, Gail invited me to go on a spa day with her. I was having a stress filled moment. And she said, I go to the spa in Midtown, you have to go. So walked in, and I remember asking the host there, listen, I need to have the best massage therapist that's here. I need a deep tissue massage and not anything that is like that little touch, kind of thing. And she goes, oh, you want to work with Chen? And as soon as I sat down and saw Chin, I said to myself, and actually to him, you look really familiar. We'll get into the nuances of why he actually looked familiar. But Chin has been my go to massage therapist. And anyone who knows me knows that I recommend him for all massage therapy needs in New York City. And so I want to welcome Chin to this
Thank you so
conversation.
much,
Welcome,
Clay. Thank
Chin.
you.
Yeah. So, Chin, I really want to know because massage therapy is definitely a specialty, I think. What made you decide to become a massage therapist? What was the impetus for that?
There are several reasons behind why I became a massage therapist. For one, I've been always known as the touchy feely guy. But
Okay.
even before that, I was very sick as a child. I had
Hmm.
a liver disease that was a rare liver disease that they never diagnosed fully. And at about 6 months old, I was in the hospital with ruptured esophagus, the rare liver disease. They were talking of amputating my leg, pins in my head. I get the story from my mom, and literally to heal me, they kind of gave up on me. They put me in the room, that room where they say there's nothing we can do for him anymore. And my mother, being
Hmm.
a woman of faith, just prayed over me every day. And she said, actually, she massaged my body every day as a baby, massaging me and was touching my limbs. But they said my legs were really hot, like with the temperature was like, it was like a feverish kind of temperature in the legs, in my limbs. But she said she massaged me every day, and prayed over me. And the one day that they told her that I wasn't going to make it, she prayed over me, and the next day I was all the symptoms were gone. So I don't know if you call it a miracle or all the
What?
symptoms. And it's funny, I see those doctors even today after
Hmm.
40 plus years, and they call me the miracle child. They say, oh, they go, how's that liver? And I say, it's so far so good. And they call me the miracle child. But massage was I she didn't, not knowing anything about, nothing technical about massage, the healing that she, through touch, that she gave me, I think is the reason I'm here today.
Wow. So literally your mother's healing hands is what you attribute to this sort of miracle
I
breakthrough that you
attribute, I
had.
totally, I mean, understanding what massage, the benefits of massage now that I do, I
Mhm.
totally attribute, and the power of prayer. But I really
Right.
think the combination of like what we say, that massage is a mind, body, and soul experience, a spiritual experience. So I think the combination, my mother gave me the perfect combination of all three. I mean, she massaged my body, she prayed over me, and that allowed me to heal. So hearing that story, I mean, she tells the story of probably every year of my life. So I've heard the story over and over again, and from her, and people who were, the doctors and the family members and friends that were around during that time. So that was the initial, I think, the beginning. When hearing that story, I always knew that there was something to to touch and the healing power of it. And I wanted to delve deeper into what that secret or that cure was. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what would you say then is your purpose in the massage therapy world? Like what how do you define that for yourself?
So my purpose, I feel, is to heal. First, is to heal, and to create that mind, body, and soul experience for all of my clients,
Mm.
and allow them to know that it's not just, some people like literally somebody rubbing on them, but the experience is,
Right.
it's so much more to what the experience is. The power and healing of the cure, that you receive
Mm.
from touch, not only technically, but I can tell you all the technical aspects that we learned in school. I went to a school where you had to take myology, pathology, organic chemistry, neurology, and
Mm.
I can give you all of those, the technical aspects of why it can heal. Why, I mean, behind what massage therapy um, uh, does for the body. But there's also a whole another aspect to it.
Yeah, and so let's get into some of that because I think for a lot of people, especially listeners and viewers of this podcast, not only are they coming to seek to understand what their purpose and calling in life is, but they're always looking for clues as to how they can also leverage the practical parts of discovering, who they are and discovering tips along the way. Like I can't tell you how many DMs and emails I get from people all the time who have said, someone's story has inspired me to go ahead and jumpstart my own career along, the path that they have gone through. And so, how did you actually, where'd you go to school and what did you learn beyond just sort of the spiritual part of massage
So
therapy?
I went to the Swedish Institute. Shout out to the Swedish Institute. It's known as the Harvard of massage schools.
It is.
And I think what I got from there not only was, I mean, it's extensive training. It's almost 2 years
Hmm.
of education. I mean, literally, they had us with cadavers, working with cadavers. So we had to really know, inside and out about the body, how the body functions, and the bones, everything that you need to know, the bones, the muscles, the arteries, the ventricles. We had to know all of
Hmm.
that technical aspect, but then we also learned the Eastern theory to massage. So we learned Western and Eastern theory. And It was so extensive that many people gave up. I mean, I remember when I went to the interview, there were 3 interviews to get into the school. And they said, "We see that your background
Hmm.
is not in is not scientific, you're an artist." And so, of course, me being the actor, I was like, "Well, there's an art to life." And art, and life is not just about science, but it's an artistic part of this of life that, and they, whatever answer, they loved my answer. And it's true. I mean, life is not, is not all, I mean, there is an artistic part to all of this, and which I learned later dealing with certain clients, that I had to integrate both of my experience and learning from my art to allow me to
Mm.
be able to work on certain clients, which is very interesting, also.
Yeah. I've sat with you before, Chin, and we always have conversations about people's energy. And you have said to me, like, you literally can feel people's energy when they are in, on the table, and that, in hindsight, can even support or hinder their life in whatever direction. Like, talk to us a little bit about like that energy and how that comes
So the
through.
way I always describe it is when you meet somebody, or you feel a certain vibe. I mean, that's the best way I can describe it. When you see somebody,
Mm.
you automatically feel a certain vibe, whether it's, this person is somebody I can get close to, somebody I feel like I need to stay away from. So I always say, imagine touching their entire body or touching their body, even from a handshake. So
Mm.
imagine. touching their body, and what you get from, from that experience. So literally, we came up with the term. There's people they call vampires who when I work on them, they take all of my energy. And a lot of
Mm.
massage therapists will they'll describe that experience to you. So you almost have to prepare yourself to be in a place where you're not allowing yourself to be to be susceptible to that kind of energy, because then you won't be able to work for the entire day. But it's sometimes, even
Mhm.
after 21 years of doing it, I still get some of those clients where I feel like, I mean, and I'm not downing them, because sometimes they need that much. They need from me what I'm giving to allow them to be cured or be healed. Um,
Mhm.
in the same way, I can get somebody like you, like yourself, who, when I feel
Mhm.
after the massage, I feel so invigorated, and I'm like, wow, I feel like I feel like I can do
Yeah.
20 more massages, and it's the experiences is like,
Wow.
it's hard to put into words, but it's more of it.
Mhm.
It has something to do with, like I said, there's definitely an energetic uh, portion to our being and our makeup. And
Mhm.
I don't know, people call it several different things. Like, some people call it the spirit, some people call it chi. Some people in Eastern theory, they call it the chi. So we have to learn how to focus the chi, and we have to make sure our chi is right and
Mm.
balance, in order to
Mhm.
work on somebody else. Um, yeah,
Wow. And even a part of that though as well is like that even the physical aspect. And like you shared with me about energy and I've learned so much from you. But also you have said to me in the past before, Clay, you have a lot of knots in your back. What is this about? What's the what's this the stress about? And you've explained and you pinpoint to me where stress is showing up in my body. Talk to us about how stress manifests in our body and literally the work that you have to do to sort of unlock that.
Sure. So it's so interesting, because before, I really never really quite understood how something mental can
Mhm.
would allow your body to react to it. But when you think about people who develop peptic ulcers, uh, stress is the leading cause of a peptic ulcer. And stress, and what we learned
Mm.
in the school, is stress is the leading cause for most disorders. So
Mm.
what is happening is your body's trying to defend itself so hard that you develop, uh, essentially, you develop like blockages in your with your
Mm.
circulation, lymphatic flow, um, and it allows these, what they call adhesions, to develop in your body. Um,
Mhm.
Also, it could be posture. It could be totally postural. It could be you at a computer desk with your arms like this for hours at a day. So you just imagine you holding this position, and what you're doing to your body. You're contracting all of these muscles for all of that, for all those hours. So what's happening is the blood's not circulating evenly. It's almost like
Mm.
holding a weight. If you can picture doing a bicep curl and holding a weight, imagine
Mhm.
holding that weight for 7 hours. What And you let
Wow.
that weight go, what you can't straighten your arm. So what we get is people with
Mm.
these postures from years and years of holding their bodies in certain positions, where you see people literally with these what they call kyphosis, and these bended necks and S curves and C spines, and that's from years and years of holding their bodies in these postures. So it's to me, it's the combination of those two. But what happens when you're in stressed? What you're essentially doing is you're guarding yourself. You're holding yourself. You're holding yourself in different
Mm.
parts of your body. My stress, which I didn't realize
Mhm.
till much later, goes to right to the center of my back. So when I'm in,
How do you know that?
I
How did you
I
figure that
started
out?
becoming so much more aware of my body with doing massage, of where I was, even in school,
Ah.
because before, I used to, like, when I'd get upset, or I thought it was just, a lot of time, even holding your breath, I would be literally holding my breath, and I didn't realize I was doing that. Breathing,
Mm.
breathing brings so much oxygen to the blood, and allows circulation. So when you're not breathing, you're causing your body distress. So again, stress, distress, disorder. So you want to always be
Mhm.
aware of how your body is body and mind isn't all at all times. So I started trying to connect where my body and mind was. So when I was stressed, I'd be like, wow, I'm holding my back, the center of my back, and I didn't know why. So sometimes
Mm.
I would key into how my body was, and it would and I would relax my body, and in turn, the stress would my mind would be at ease. And breathing had a lot to has a lot to do with that diaphragmatic breathing, which is essential for all kinds of for to me to live. I mean, we have to breathe to live. So cutting that your breath off can totally just cause disharmony in your body and imbalance.
And to that end, what tips can you provide for us in terms of locating where we hold stress in our
So
body?
exactly how I said it. So when you're feeling any type of distress, if you're and when I say stress, it could be it could be as simple as an argument with your boss, or or argument with or debate with your friend. Key into instead of keying into what the argument about is about. It's so interesting because it almost makes you feel like it's almost like an out of body experience because you're not even dealing with that. Deal Center yourself and take a and breathe and see how you're holding your body. See what your posture is like. Are you relaxed? Is your
Mm.
body at even? It's so funny also in school, Clay, and this is actually an Eastern theory. We used to have to wait to they used to have us assess people when they walk through the door to see where their clothes bunched up. So if their clothes bunched up here, that meant that there was physical blockages going on, and I thought that was ridiculous. But then when I would work on them, of course, where would if their clothes were bunched up here, of course their upper trapezius area would be in knots. So it's amazing how even your clothes will show you where you're holding your tension. But to me, I mean, even without looking at your clothes, just more like even like closing your eyes and taking a deep breath in from your diaphragm and just realizing where look imagine where your body center your body and imagine how where you're feeling
Mhm.
you're holding yourself. Another funny thing, I know
Mm.
I've said this to you in the past when I'm working on people, is when I'm working on them and I'm giving them like deep pressure. They say, "Oh, I'm fine." I check in with them, and they say, "Oh no, I'm feeling fine." And I'll look at their hands, and their hands will be like. So what I've done is I've always exposed their hands. They don't know it, but I expose their hands to the sheet and towel to see, because even sometimes they don't even realize that they're. And then when I mention it to them, they go, "Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize I was holding my
Yeah.
stress there." So I always say to just key into where you're holding yourself, and then that's usually the area you hold. Some people, it's always like they have tension headaches, so it's always around the bottom of the base of their skull. I don't, and
Mm.
I don't get it there. It's more like I told you, right where, and I've gotten better. It's interesting because I've keyed into it, and now that's not the spot. It goes elsewhere now.
Wow. It's so fascinating you say that because I think through like our massage therapy sessions and the part where I guess maybe reflexology as you're like lifting my back, you'll say, Clay, let go. You gotta relax. And in my back, as you have expressed to me, is where I hold a lot
Hold
of
it.
the
Yep.
stress. And, it gets better and better, when I go, and, which leads me to another point about just chronic stress and, people's inability to afford massage therapy. You and I have said this, over countless years from the work that you do, that I do. How is it that we make it affordable? And also, why is it not a part of our healthcare, you know, um, uh,
Yeah, it's
coverage?
really a shame that
Like,
they don't. I mean, that they consider physical therapy. They'll cover physical therapy, but they don't consider massage therapy physical therapy, and that's essentially what it is. Massage therapy is physical
yeah.
therapy. We're working physically with the body, to help and cure. It's funny because they don't see it as a health benefit, and I always tell this story. I have to tell this story, Clay. It's a story we learned in
Please.
school, which kind of shifted my whole understanding and shifted, society's understanding of what massage therapy, how it benefits the body. So there was a guy in the hospital. I'll make the story simple and plain. There was a guy in the hospital who had symptoms of a heart attack, all the symptoms of a heart attack. So he had the pain radiating down his shoulder, down his arm. He had the back pain. He had the chest pain. There was no, but through all the testing he was doing, there were no, there was nothing saying that his heart was fine, but he had all of the symptoms.
Mm,
So they kept him in the hospital for months. A nurse who was a ex massage therapist just started going
mhm.
into the room, working on different points of his body. They call them referral pain pattern points. They call them trigger points. and these are referral
Mm.
pain patterns. So there's essentially there's areas on your body where I can push and you'll feel it somewhere else in your body. So if I push,
Mm.
say, where your spine is, between like uh, T4 and T5 thoracic region in your back, you'll feel it across your chest here in this area. So she essentially just
Yes.
started working his trigger points for 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks, all of his symptoms were gone. So it was yeah, it was after that when doctors started saying, "Oh, we gotta introduce these massage therapists into our clinics," and that's what we have now. They have massage therapy in like chiropractor's office. We still haven't gotten, and this is over 20 years ago, but we still haven't gotten to
Mhm.
the area like you're saying where it should be covered. And I really don't know why, but it was, there's books written about and research done proving these theories of like
Mhm.
trigger point therapy and how it really works. So I mean, no doctor, Western doctor, would have known that.
Seriously. What do you think is the biggest misconception about
Well,
massage
it's just
therapy?
so taboo. And it doesn't, the
Mm.
stereotypes are, and it doesn't help when people advocate the stereotype. I mean, because there's so many people who aren't trained, who don't go to school, who just say, I want to be a massage therapist, and they work in some of these parlors where they don't need they don't have licenses, and then it becomes about, people get the stereotype that it's something, that it's sexual, or and it's such
Mhm.
that's I mean that's not what true massage therapy is. Um, but it's
Mhm.
gotten this negative connotation to it. I think it's over the years of, just like I said, there are people out there who do, unfortunately, um, give a negative, a light to what essentially what this therapy and this practice can do for people. So I think that's where it's getting. Another story I tell is my father was in the hospital when I was in school, and I had
Mhm.
my books. I brought him my books to the hospital. And I'm studying. I'm studying because I had this
Mhm.
big test. I think I had to write. And I think we had to write like 30-page paper. This Swedish Institute was real. It was serious. So I had to write a 30-page paper on like on all these different techniques. So I'm looking through my books, and this doctor comes and goes, "Oh, you're studying to become a doctor?" And I go, "No, I'm a massage therapist." He goes, "Massage therapist?" They start laughing. Like, he's like, "What do you need those books for?" And I was kind of offended.
Wow.
I was like, "No." And then I was
Yeah.
like, "No, we have to." Then I started telling him we have to know about myology. But then I started like naming them. He's like, "Oh, you know your stuff." I said, "Yeah, this is what we're studying.
Mhm.
What do you?" So unfortunately, it's received this. Another thing I always want to clear up is that, even the term masseuse, a masseuse is a female massage therapist. A masseur is a
Mm.
as a male massage therapist. So even just like
Oh, okay.
terminology, but I mean, I guess in 2020, what massage therapists want to be called they want to be called massage therapists. So this is so
Mm.
you don't have to distinguish the two. But even say, oh, here's the masseuse. I don't know, that something about that title gives, makes it, there's so many reasons why. But I hope in the future we will be considered. I mean, I think I'm a healthcare provider, even for the shot, for the vaccine
Mm.
for COVID. uh Physical
Mhm.
therapists were eligible, but massage therapists weren't. So I
Oh,
mean,
wow, I didn't
it's
know
amazing. I
that.
mean, because we're actually in contact with people more often than they are, or about the same amount of time.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I have a friend who has an autoimmune deficiency disease, and one of the things that her doctor tells her to do is go have a weekly massage. Go have a weekly massage. And I think again, like you're saying, there's just so many misconceptions as to, the benefits of it. And then Chin, another part that I get from a lot of people, especially black and brown people, is I do not want to get on a massage table have anybody touch my body, and there is this sort of resistance, if you will, from a lot of people. This community, white community, I don't want to stereotype anybody. That's not what I'm saying. But a lot of people are afraid to go and get massage because they don't want people
Yeah,
touching them.
I think I mean, that it probably goes back to, our DNA. I mean, I mean, we essentially, I mean, I'm going back to even slavery. We weren't trusting of people, especially getting close to us. That,
Mm.
and, even with this. with the vaccine. Some people are afraid to, most African Americans, people of color, West Indian,
Mhm.
yeah, are afraid to get the vaccine because of the history of um, African Americans and people of color being experimented on. So I think that there's a lot of
Mhm.
the Tuskegee experiment. I mean, that was one of them. There's several, there are
Mhm.
several instances throughout history where where I mean, we literally can't trust the medical field and people, touching us. And the other
Yeah.
misconception is the price. People are always like, "Oh, I wouldn't pay for it. I wouldn't pay that much for a massage." And I'm like,
Yes.
you know, this is a. They don't realize that it's a health benefit. I was like, how much would you pay for shoes? And these you get. I mean, there's guys who stay out
Right.
online to spend $300 on a pair of Nikes. Not putting Nike down because I did work for them for 10 years, but they'll pay
Yeah.
$300 for Nike shoes, and women will pay $300 for a pair of heels that will essentially mess up their back. Ironically, and
Mm.
I've told some women, then they go, "Wow, I never looked at it like that." And then they said, "Yeah, I'll stop buying the high heel shoes and I'll come get a massage." And they saw the results. I mean, massage helps increase, like I said, blood circulation, lengthens muscles. So, people come out saying, "I feel taller." You probably
Mm.
are, because I've
Yeah.
actually lengthened the muscle fiber. So you probably are think you're taller. Your breathing is better because there's several muscles of respiration that are blocked or with
Yeah.
adhesions because of what we were talking about earlier, holding your body, holding your breath.
Mhm.
It increases lymphatic flow. The lymphatic system is amazing. I mean, people have lymphedema, or people have cancer. It- their lymph nodes are usually affected. So what massage does is help increase lymphatic flow to drain that out.
Mm.
So you're getting all of these health benefits, which people don't know. They think you're just rubbing them. So and especially men. I mean, black men forget it.
Yeah.
They're they're like, "Oh, I'm not."
Mhm.
It's another great story I have. I had this guy come to me. He was a bouncer. He was a man of color. I think
Okay.
he was I think he was Hispanic. If I had to guess, I think he was Hispanic. Not to generalize, but it was his first time getting a massage, and
Mm.
so he's like, "Oh, I'm not used to a man touching me, but what you're doing feels really good." And then I told him, I was like, "Brother, listen, I told him everything I'm telling you." And he goes, "Oh, wow."
Mhm.
So he said, "Can you go deeper?" So of course, like, he didn't know who he was talking to.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. We all know not to tell Chin that.
So I start massaging him, not to turn anybody off. It's He said, "Brother," he said, he said, "It's interesting." He said, "Because I'm feeling pain, but I feel like it's productive pain." He said, "I've been hit
Mm.
over the head." He said, "I've been hit over the back with chairs, and I've been, as a bouncer." He said, and he said, "Nothing." He said, "This kind of pain is more intense than that." He said, "But I feel a release." He said, "It's weird how I'm feeling this
Wow.
combination of feelings." He said, "And I will be back." And it was something that we went through. That, I mean, we were getting through a whole bunch of issues there, like that whole, like, that, like I said, a man touching another man, and we had
Mhm.
we had to get past that. And then we had to
Mhm.
get by, him being tough, and then to him, we got through all of that to him essentially in a accepting this work, and we had a lot of his knots dissipated. When I say dissipated, they
Wow.
released, which is usually
Uh-huh.
not the case when somebody's fighting me. So it's massage is also a give and take kind of experience. So
Mm.
we have to almost be
Mhm.
in it together for it to work.
And I've even heard you share with me sometimes when people have had an emotional release during the massage where they're just like crying and just shedding so much emotional baggage. Talk to us about that.
So trauma. I mean, when we talk about trauma, again, the body stores trauma. So if you have any kind of, I mean, I always try to make it more, to make it simple, first, so we can understand mentally how it might affect. So if you're in a car accident, uh, I mean, physically, yeah, you might, a bad car accident, you'll be messed up. But when you're at the beginning of that car accident, before you slam those brakes, usually you tense your body to a point where you cause more damage than you can. Like, that's why what a stiff neck is. Is like, what we're doing is we're
Mm,
trying to hold our neck so we don't create that, whiplash. So this muscle, the SEM, the sternocleidomastoid, is affected. So what happens is
mm,
we're holding our bodies. That's what they say sometimes, that drunk people don't aren't affected because their bodies are so limp and relaxed that they don't hold themselves. But
Wow.
so they're usually that's how we should be during a traumatic event. But our bodies are designed to defend ourselves during a
Yeah.
traumatic event. So whatever the traumatic
Mm.
event is, I mean, I've had people like who told me that they've been. I mean, there's all. I mean, it ranges from being molested, being abused physically. So when
Mhm.
you're touching those areas, you can it can stimulate that it's almost like an emotional recall. Not so much of
Mm.
the physical trauma itself, but it can, 'cause since we're working in an area that's been traumatized, you can
Mm.
in effect causes a release of emotion, which
Mm.
almost helps. It's almost like it's therapy for the body and for the mind. So
Mhm.
I've had people just totally wail on the table, and I mean, again, always check in,
Wow.
and and I
Mhm.
ask, is everything okay? Do you want me to stop? Do you want me to go on? And most of the time, I mean, 100%, I mean, 99% of the time, they're saying, please continue, because I'm feeling something where almost what
Mm.
the bouncer was saying. I'm feeling a release that I feel
Yeah.
that is much needed, and by you doing this, is helping me to get through that process. And
Wow.
and so I invite. That's why I tell people, I invite anybody to not hold in anything when you're on the table. This is the opportunity to let it go and let it out, which is the whole point of massage, is to release. I mean, anything. I mean, I've made it even I mean, not to make it comical, but even gas. I've had people saying, "Oh, I have gas. I'm trying to hold it." I go, "Why?" No, release
Yeah.
it. I said, this is. I mean, what I'm stimulating inside is could be the. I'm so sorry. My phone.
It's okay.
Um, what I'm releasing is inside, it can stimulate that release physically, and you
Yeah.
need that. You don't
Mhm.
want to hold gas in. So the whole better in better out than in. I mean, because then you
Yeah.
cause some more damage. So it's the same concept. You want to release anything you're feeling. Even I have some people who moan like, "Oh," and I said, "Oh, that's great. I encourage that, because you're anytime you're
Mm.
releasing, even vocally, that's letting breath. You're letting that out.
Mhm.
People do that in vocal cuts, because a lot of things we hold in our core, um, in our center.
Right.
So releasing that can cause all kinds of health benefits.
Oh wow, Chin, you are a godsend. And I tell you this in so many different ways. And another aspect of that as well, and you have been a great teacher for me. You always tell me when I come after you work out. Do not come before. And you've been very supportive in helping me through like my physical fitness transformation in that aspect. Talk to us about what happens when we come to you, especially athletes and people who are fitness, enthusiasts. What does that do for us in our body and our
So
muscles?
what's happening? You develop when you work out, you develop lactic acid in the muscle, which is almost like
Mm.
a toxin that during massage is released in the body. So if you're doing heavy, if you're lifting or you're working out, first of all, basically your muscles are being contracted. So like I was talking about
Mm.
earlier. So you think about like holding a weight. If you hold that weight for 7 hours, your arm, you can't like extend your arm. So you get athletes or bodybuilders the worst people I've had are bodybuilders, because they don't stretch. They don't
Mm.
stretch. They don't get massages. So the benefits of stretching are the same benefits of massage. So you're lengthening muscle, you're increasing circulation in the muscle. So if you're not stretching, that's why
Mhm.
they get that appearance, like those bodybuilders who they're the ones who aren't doing it correctly, who are in
Yeah, it's like
that's
yeah.
not correct. Their posture shouldn't be that way. Their posture should be much more even and balanced. So
Wow.
the massage, you want
Uh-huh.
the massage will help lengthen the muscle and prevent injury. So
Mm.
a lot of the athletes you see who are getting massages, even during the game, during the event, are preventing injury from occurring. Because, like, you think of a football player, if you're engaging your
Right.
hamstrings that way, jumping and lunging and for hours at a time, the muscles contracting, 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 contracting. Where you do one more of those movements, it can tear. That muscle can tear, and the
Mm.
worst thing you can have is that there's a first degree, second degree, and third degree tear. Third degree, there's no coming back. First degree, you can it
Mm.
just there's some damage, but it will heal. Second degree, depending on the severity, can also be an injury you can't come back from. So when you hear those like ACL tears, you hear of
Mhm.
those things are things that eventually you need surgery for. So massage helps you not avoid, avoid that. So could you imagine? It's so funny because people ask, how often should you get massage? And my answer is always,
Yes.
what are you putting your body through? So during the week, or what are you putting your mind through during the week? What kind of stress are you putting on your entire being? So athletes pretty much get them every day. Somebody like
Oh.
somebody who's even, it's so funny. I heard that Mariah Carey gets massages every day. I was
Mhm.
like, I think that's just that's for comfort, because I mean, some people need. You never know. I mean, some people, like I said, might be your mind that you if you have a lot of stress in your life, a massage a day might be beneficial for you. Maybe not the intensity of massage. So I wouldn't
Okay.
advise deep tissue every day. Not at all. Um,
Right.
at all. Not for even for the athletes, not deep tissue, because for athletes they
Mhm.
have like pre-event, post-event massages. They have different massages categorized for what type of event is going on. So yeah, I
Yeah,
say
and
all of that to say, so it's best to work out and then get the massage.
okay.
Yeah,
All right. So, folks, listen, work out and then get the massage. And you alluded to this a little bit earlier in the conversation, and I talked about the very beginning. You said your artistry, in essence, has informed your massage therapy. And so, even for our audience, as I was telling you all, when I first met Chin over a decade ago, I said, huh, this brother looks familiar. He looks really familiar to me. And as time went on, we're talking and he's telling me he's an artist, he's an actor. He goes, "Oh," and as he casually mentions this, "You might have seen me in the Cheerio commercial." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, stop the massage and say, Chin, you're the Cheerio dad."
yeah. How do that Cheerios?
Chin, talk to us about your artistry. Please talk to us about this commercial because I know people will recognize you from that. How did you become an artist? And then a secondary question, how does that inform even your work as a massage
Well, there's so
therapist?
many answers to the question you just asked. I hope I'm not
Yeah.
taking all of your time.
This is your time,
Okay,
please. Yes, go
but
ahead.
first, the Honey Nut Cheerios commercial. Not only was it instrumental because it was a national commercial. I don't know if you know, it was the dad. If people know, it's the dad when the dads were dancing with their kids. I was dancing with my
Yeah.
daughter, and this was
Mm.
so I had the opportunity to actually audition with my daughter, and then we both get the gig. So financially and it was amazing. I mean, it was a union
Good
commercial,
day.
national commercial, so that was amazing, in itself, and historic because it was my actual daughter who was in the commercial, who is now 14 years old. Um,
Wow.
but um, I've been acting since the early age, or performing since the age of 8 years old. I started
Mm.
at the Metropolitan Opera House singing in Porgy and Bess at the Met, playing
What?
the
What?
lead kids role in Porgy and Bess, which is Scipio. And again, I got to perform with my dad. He was also in the production. And the New York Times wrote an article, "Father and Son and Porgy." You can look it up. Father and Son and Porgy. And when I was 9 years old, 8 or 9 years old, and they interviewed the two of us, and that's in the archives. Actually, I do home visit. A funny story. I do home
Yeah.
visits, and one of the clients said, "Oh, I lost your number, so I just did a little check." Of course, it was a background check because she was inviting this massage therapist who's never been to their house, you know. So she didn't say it, but I knew what she was doing. But anyway,
Yeah.
she looks up, and that's what comes up. She says, "Were you an opera singer when you were like 8 years old?" And then that article, "Father and Son and Porgy," popped up. But anyway, yeah. So since then, I knew being on the stage that this was my destiny. I was on the stage with
Mm.
heavyweights in the opera world. Grace Bumbry, Simon Estes, who were all heavyweights in the opera world. But then I realized that uh, uh, not only did I enjoy singing, I enjoyed the performing aspect of it. So
Mm.
I mean, I eventually got the opportunity to sing with Michael Jackson on his History album when and he was my
What?
idol. Yeah, at 19 years old, I was
Wow.
able to, after getting an agent, I
Mhm.
landed this the greatest opportunity of my life to sing with Michael Jackson on his History, and work with Michael Jackson for an hour and a half, my idol, for an hour and a half. And so I realized that I liked doing R&B and gospel and opera, but I even in that, I like the performance aspect of it, the acting aspect of it. Um,
Mm.
and so I'm trying to skip all over, but I went to essentially I went to the Performing Arts High School of LaGuardia High School of Performing Arts, and that's where
Okay.
I feel like everything opened up. I already had a great experience, but I felt like I truly learned the art of theater, and that I
Mm.
was able from there. I was an appearance of All My Children, the soap opera All My Children.
Mm.
Uh,
Mhm.
did a movie with Joaquin Phoenix, Two Lovers.
Mhm.
I mean, the resume goes on, but anyway, the how I could correlate the massage with the acting experience and learning and teaching is you're putting these situations with people where you have to essentially be become almost a character in order to have this experience with because you're with so many different types of people, and
Mhm.
in acting they teach you like I was talking earlier, emotional recall and how to almost put yourself in another place in order to always be able uh, to work with another person. So the story that kind of ties this all together is I had to work on, and when I was working at the spa, I worked at Dorit Baxter Day Spa. That's where I think I met Clay for
Yeah.
13 years. And one this is early in my career there as a massage therapist. She invited a group of Israelis who were victims of a bombing. It was a historic bombing in Israel, where I think it was a wedding where the floor fell. There was a bombing and there were several fatalities, but these were survivors
Mhm.
of that bombing. So
Mm.
the client I had to work on was a burn victim. He was burned over whatever the I think it's third degree, whatever the worst degree of
Mhm.
burns. I'm not sure. He had that over his 90% of his body, and
Okay.
I had to work. And when I had to work on, he lost unfortunately lost his 4-year-old son in the bombing. So visually, when I
Mhm.
saw him, it was I mean honestly, I it was so emotional for me that I didn't know if I could work on him. When he disrobed and I saw the condition of his body, his skin was.
Mm.
I didn't think I'm just being honest. This is early in my career.
Yeah.
I didn't think I could. I didn't think I could uh, emotionally disconnect myself. But it's
Mhm.
interesting. I immediately all of the tools that I learned from acting, even in school,
Wow.
of putting myself in a place um, where I wasn't Chin. I was
Mm.
I was essentially somebody who's going to be healing a man who just lost his son. This is the circumstance. A man who
Mm.
lost his son
Mhm.
and has experienced severe trauma in his life, and I was there to nurture and cure him. And that was my only objection, and and my motivation. And and in turn, Clay, that was the one of the most
Wow.
uh, I'm going to say I don't know if the word is intriguing, but it was like one of the most heartfelt experiences I've ever had. And at the end of that session, I mean, we were both. I mean, we were. I felt like we were both on a certain wavelength of like pure serenity and
Mm.
peace. And
Mm.
that kind of I knew that it was my destiny to do this work
Right.
and to not to give up the other work either because it was so essential.
Right.
The two were so essential. But
Wow, talk about deep compassion and deep empathy and stretching yourself to elevate to the call of the hour. And I think that's a big part of what a lot of people who listen to this podcast are seeking to do. And one thing you just said, Chin, that I think is going to be very instrumental to a lot of people. So many folks feel like they have to have just one area in their life that they are purposed to be in. And if there's another area that comes in, I can't pick and choose. I have to go in a different space. What do you say to people who are really trying to understand that they are more than just one thing? It's not a silo in which life or universe, God, if that the language people choose to use, is calling them
it's so
to.
interesting you say that, Clay, because I've had it's interesting how people will even try to like block your your desire to pursue several
Hmm.
You know how many times I've been told you're
Okay.
multi-talented. Yeah, you can sing, you can act, you can play the piano, you can massage, but you got to choose one thing. I've been told that a lot in my life. And I
Yeah.
and as before I used to listen to it, I say, "Oh, yeah, I probably." They go, "Oh, because you'll never be famous." Or, but I was like, "Is that my motivation to be famous?" I don't think my
Right.
motivation is to be famous. I think
Right.
my motivation and my objective is to pursue my passion. And I think I have a
Mhm.
passion for all of those areas. So why not? I feel like if you have a passion in everything, why not do it all and find, because I feel like then I'm pursuing my destiny. I've been called a dreamer.
Mm.
One time I was talking to
Mhm.
somebody and I told them all of my aspirations, and I was like, yeah, I essentially want to, maybe this is even before I had my own business. I want to essentially, I was
Okay.
like, I want to have my own business. I want to maybe do a movie, and I want to do. And the guy said, oh, you're one of those. I said, one of what? He said, a dreamer, and he said it like it was a
Oh.
negative, and he was laughing at me.
Mhm.
But Clay, in the
Mm.
last 5 years, 6 years, I've owned my own business. I've been in a movie, and I've done a national commercial with my daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like a dream world. It sounds like something only dreams are made of. So, what I say to your question is, pursue all of your dreams, and I think when you pursue the dreams, the universe allows those paths and those doors to be open to you. So, don't close doors that might be open for you because you want
Right.
to be famous or because you're considered a dreamer. No, that's why think we were put on this earth to pursue our dreams. Or else why would dreams exist?
Yeah, or else why would dreams exist? I love that. And Chin, now as we are in the midst still of this global pandemic, and I feel like there's a couple of things that are happening beyond all the insurmountable death, illnesses, people losing their jobs. Stress is just running rampant. I know in my work, I'm curious to hear about what you have to say. But what do you say to a lot of folks too, as well, who not only where stress is overtaking their body, but like a sense of hopelessness to aspire to, these purpose led dreams that people have for themselves. People have lost that sense of hope. Where do we begin for you in particular in sort of elevating or having a stronger sense of purpose as it relates to having a hope muscle even more?
I think, Clay, it's interesting because I think a lot of people think big before they think small. And I think
Mm,
it's the thinking,
like that.
it's the small things that lead to the big things. So I think you have to
Okay.
put your life into perspective and be realistic. So take one thing at a time, take one day at a time. Uh, and I think by doing that, you by taking everything at one step at a time, you'll get to that eventually get to the prize. I mean, and I think that's relative to different people. But my
Yeah.
advice would be to not first of all not think big. Think of the journey and not of the destination. So when you think about the journey, there's steps that you have to take to get to the destination. I think a lot of us think about the destination. I want to be famous. I want to have my own business. I didn't think like that. I want to have you can't think. You have to
Yeah,
think in steps. So I feel like that's really the beginning is taking one day, one breath at a time, and being thankful for where you are in life. I mean, waking up and thanking whatever
mm,
you believe in for another day of life, another breath, just breathing to me, and then take it step by step. It's like exercise. You
right,
don't get up and and you're not lifting and doing the aerobic routine of life. You get up and do 10 push-ups one day. See how that feels. Okay. Then you do, you progressively you add on to that, and eventually you get to the place where you're feeling good about yourself. You're looking the way you want to look, but it doesn't happen overnight. So I
right.
think it's a matter of taking small steps to get to the big idea of taking small steps to get to the prize.
Yeah, small steps, small steps. I think that is the key to not only the stamina part of this journey, but also to being able to even look back and take account to what you have accomplished, because so many people, I know myself included, has been a biggest work of me is being present in the moment of what has happened. Chin, what has this last year of life taught you the most? Like what has been maybe one of your learning lessons that you would share with us?
I think it's taught me how to deal with adversity. how
Mm,
to be calm in the storm. When things are all, when things, I think essentially when things are going crazy around you, the key is to be calm and find your peace and your center, because I think if you allow the storm to take you over, you can really get in a bad place. I think for me, I've learned that in the midst of the storm, I'm okay. I think no matter how bad it gets, I feel like life has thrown a lot at all of us. But
mhm.
I'm here talking to you today. I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm breathing. Still essentially, pursuing my dreams. I have friends and family that love me, and I think that's what I've keyed into during this time, that love and family, and even just conversations, like even talking to you, are
Mm,
what is necessary for happiness and peace. And I think that's what I've
mm.
seen, that there's joy inside, that the joys that are not so grand and so superficial.
Yeah.
It's the things around me. It's looking at my daughter and looking at her smile, or or it's, seeing somebody on the street who are, we didn't a hug now. Giving somebody a hug now,
Woo.
it means so much more than it did a year ago or 2 years ago.
That's
I
right.
mean,
Yeah.
we weren't allowed to touch each other. It all goes back to that. So just finding
Mhm.
the appreciation and those things. I think that the coming together, the being in a situation together, that I think that's what I saw the most. I used to love that commercial
Mm.
of people clapping at 7 o'clock, seeing everybody come together, to cheer on
Right.
the essential workers. I just sense of knowing that we're all in this together, and a feeling
Mhm.
that it's not an individual thing. Life is about, we're all on this earth to heal each other, and be there for each other. And I think that's one of the main things I've learned being during this past year. Yeah.
We're all on this earth to heal each other. Listen, I always get the podcast title from the guest. I think that's just going to be it. And before I let you go, Chin, what is your greatest hope for the world right now?
My greatest hope for the world is that we is peace. I mean, it sounds so cliche, but no, I
Mhm.
think, you know, it all comes down to us getting along, and peace. I think we there's so much turmoil in the world today,
Yeah.
and I think, whatever way we have to do to achieve that peace, I can't push enough massage, uh, massage therapy. I think getting more in tune to I want the world to be more in tune to their body, mind, and soul
Mm.
as one entity, as opposed to separate. I think once if we challenge ourselves to do that, because one always helps the other. So if your mind is right, then a lot of times your body's right. If your body's right, then a lot of times your mind's right. And if you have some sort of spiritual, when we say soul, I think some sort of uh, appreciation for something that's bigger than us. I think if we
Mhm.
can key into that, uh, and then I think if we can key into that, we can appreciate each other much more. So my
Yeah.
hope for humanity is for us to to come together and appreciate our existence much more, and appreciate each other much more. And like I said, it sounds cliche, but really that would make the world a better place.
Yeah. Chin, listen, you have given us a master class on all things mind, body, soul, um, uh, purpose, career, and just thinking beyond ourselves. And like I cannot thank you enough for this time. I believe in my heart of hearts that these are the kind of conversations people need to hear the most, especially in this state of disease, a state of confusion. And Chen, where can people learn more about you? Where can they come and get the best massage in all of New York City, if not in all of the world?
So
Where can we do that?
my website is www.chinsmassage.com.
Yeah.
I'm located at 138 West 25th Street in Manhattan in Chelsea. That's between 6th and 7th Avenue on the 11th floor. Uh, Business is slowly getting better. Since COVID, I
Okay.
think with the people getting vaccinated uh, and the numbers going down. I think people are more secure. But I have a safe environment, safe
That's right.
cleanly environment. But I hope that it's interesting that you said dis-ease. The leading cause of most disorders and dis-ease is stress, and I think if you can get a massage that which helps eliminate that factor, we'll have a lot more ease and a lot more order.
Yeah, a lot more ease, a lot more order. And also, where can we learn more about your
Oh,
artistry and the
yes. So on
incredible
YouTube,
actor
you can
that you are?
put.
Yeah.
Clay knows I'm not so technologically sound, but if you just type in Chinyelu Ingram on YouTube, you can see my film reel. You can see some massage stuff. So it's Chinyelu, which is Chinyelu Ingram, Ingram. Type that in on YouTube, and you can see a lot of my work.
All right. Thank you, Clinton Chinyelu Ingram. Did I get
That was perfect.
All right, folks. So listen, I'll have all of Chin's information at the base of the podcast where you can connect and learn more about him. Of course, you can learn more about me by visiting clayswilliams.com. And I'm on all of your favorite social media by the handle of @PlanA with Clay. That's @PlanA with Clay, folks. Remember that Clay is with a K. Thanks for listening. I look forward to seeing you in our very next episode of Plan A Conversations.